Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Angela Olfest, otherwise known as Voice Over Angela. In this podcast, we talk about my adventures in freelancing, my voiceover business, and everything else in between. Let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again today and everyone else in the chat for another live voiceover community chat Q&A session. If you're new here, welcome. We welcome you with warm, open arms. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel here on YouTube is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques, things that I use every day in my own voiceover business in the hopes that it will help you move forward and step out of the box that we all put ourselves in the beginning when we're trying something new and scary. If you're not new here, then you know every week we have a new poll, which is basically the jumping off point, right? Topic of discussion for today's chat. And today's poll is, have you ever used or even seen a voiceover contract or an NDA? And the topic today has come from, I've got a handful of questions over the past week or two regarding specifically contracts and NDAs. And most of the work that I do is for, and again, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that I'm not chasing after big brands and things like that. I usually work with smaller indie companies and publishers and authors and things like that. I'm behind the little dogs of the world. So I don't see a whole lot of them, but I have seen some contracts. I have seen some NDAs. And with the experience that I have had with these is that really what you need to do is read through them carefully. Now, I have a few resources for you today that I have come across in my own journey to getting to where I'm at today through the course of the last, almost 6 years now that I've been doing this. And I wrote some things down because, I forget things really easily. But I was going through our friend Google, and I found some information that was really useful. There was a website, namely, it's called voiceoverinfo.com, but they have a page that's dedicated to the things that you really need to look for in the contracts. And because I can't remember things all the time, so I wanted to go through this with you just because I don't want to forget anything. But what's important to the key points, the key takeaways in looking at a contract, and we'll get to whether or not you should have your own in a minute, but I wanted to touch on these because I find that a lot of clients will provide you with a contract first. And if you're just starting out, you don't know what you're looking at, right? It's all just a bunch of legal blah, blah, blah. But you do need to read through it. If you have somebody like an attorney or a lawyer or somebody that's on your side that can speak the legalese, I highly recommend maybe even having them take a look at it. But just to preface this, I'm not in any way giving any kind of legal advice. I'm not licensed to do so. This is just my experience thus far. But the things that I think that you should look for in this contract are, or even before you look at the contract, you want to make sure that you understand that the script that we're talking about, that we're talking about in this contract, is approved, right? Because there's usually a lot of different steps or a lot of different people that the script needs to go through before it's the final draft, right? And if you're working with some of the smaller mom and pop indie type of companies like I do, then there probably won't be as many people that the script needs to go through, but I digress. The script that you're receiving, that you're working with, is the final draft. There's no more changes going to be made to it. It is what they want. No changes. If there's any kind of budget that they're working with, I'm hoping that had come up already, but you want to make sure that the budget is outlined or the price that maybe you two have already negotiated is in the contract. Um, Timeline for completion is also something that needs to be in the contract. It's due on X day. And then there's also some discussion about um, how will it be used? How is this voiceover that you're recording going to be used? Right? Is it going to be just online? Is it going to be used for advertising purposes? Because of course, those things are going to need to be incorporated into your price, right? For the permission fees. Also, things that in all of I do a bunch of different things. I add music to things, sometimes video. So if there are other assets or resources that you need to use or even source as the voice artist, like if they're hiring you to, I don't know, let's just say record a meditation and you're providing the music. If you need to purchase the music, make sure that the price for that is also incorporated into the price, right? If there's any other resources that you need to have to do this project that they're not giving you, right, that you need to source and pay for, make sure that the price of those, the cost of those, is also incorporated into the price. So you're not paying for that out of pocket. Let's see. Format. What kind of format are they expecting the file to be in? MP3 or WAV or MP4 if it's a video? If there is an NDA involved, and an NDA stands for non-disclosure agreement, which basically, to summarize what it is, it's basically you're not sharing any information about the company, the information that you narrated. It's all hush, hush, secret, until they tell you that you can share it, right? An example would be maybe a video game, right? You're the voice of a video game character and it's in production and they don't want anybody to know anything about it until it's released or until they say that you can share it, right? That is basically the information outlined in an NDA. And NDAs need to be looked over carefully too. I've had a situation where someone had given me it was a very, I wouldn't even want to say generalized. It was an NDA used for a different person, a different entity or vendor type, other than a talent, a voice actor. It was more for like a consultant or something. And the verbiage of it was also including their permission for them to sign my name. It was almost like a power of attorney. And I wasn't good with that, but I'm glad that I read through it. My point to you today is make sure that you read through these things. If you're not comfortable with it, ask them to change it. You know, paragraph 3, line 5, I want this changed. This does not apply to me. I am not okay with you signing my name to things, because why would you? Right? I wouldn't want to give the power to somebody else to do that. And I'm glad I caught that. And if they're not willing to change it or can't change it, then you need to make the decision at that time or whether or not that you might need to pass. In this situation, they were not willing or able, for whatever reason, to change it. And I was not comfortable with that, so I had to pass on the job. But you as the business owner, all of these fall on you. It is ultimately you that makes the decision on whether or not you take this job, because all of the repercussions, if there are any, fall on you for not reading through it. So it's very important that you do. Now, in terms of providing your own, I do have one or two of my own. I first want to start out, it just popped into my head. I'm asked quite a bit about audiobook contracts. And to start, oh no, I know ACX had just changed it, but before they changed the whole layout on the homepage of ACX for audiobooks, down at the bottom, there was a download link, like it said download down at the bottom, or downloads. And if you click that, it would take you to a page full of templates, like contracts and audiobook contract templates. And they were editable, meaning that you could change them for whatever, needs that you had, or if it was an ACX contract. So that's there for audiobooks if you'd like to use it. Also, just skimming around the internet, I also came across HoneyBook. I don't know if you guys are familiar with HoneyBook, but HoneyBook is a site where a lot of different creatives can, it's basically to streamline workflow. So if you sign up with HoneyBook, and it's good for like photographers, creative writers, videographers, wedding planners, things like that, voice actors, I would even think. I have not used it, but from what I can see, it looks like it's pretty flexible in terms of what they can create these things for. Anyway, I'm getting off into a tangent. But HoneyBook, basically, they can make a contract for you that you can send out reminder emails, you can store content. It makes your workflow a whole lot easier. That's something I might even look into. My partner's a photographer, and that would be great for him. But I would think something like that might even be something to look at anyway. I don't think it's free. I think there's a charge to these things, but um, I'm trying to get everything off the top of my head out before I forget it. In terms of voiceover contracts, from what I can see, there's a lot of different opportunities or places, sites where you can go to either create your own voiceover contract. I think there are a lot of other voice actors that I have seen all over social media and on Google that are offering a template contract that they will sell to you that is editable, that you can purchase, download, and then change the wording. If you're just like, I have no idea what to do, I have no idea how to create this or don't have the time or whatever, you could purchase a template from one of them and then change it to your liking, or you can even get your attorney, lawyer, somebody to write up one for you. What was the one that I saw? I think I mentioned this last week or the week before, but supervoiceover.com, he has some templates that you can purchase. Documentation. I think he's even got like letterhead and a bunch of other things, but check it out. Rocket Lawyer was another one. I don't know. I've never used any of these, so I don't, I don't endorse them. I'm just telling you what I've seen. But having your own that you're comfortable and familiar with, that includes everything that you need. Oh, also payments. See, I almost forgot. The verbiage of your payment section of your contract, 50% upfront, right? Because payment due dates and timing of pay cycles for companies sometimes don't fall on the day that you would like your payment, or long story short, you don't want to be stuck in non-payment, right? Or anything like that. So you want to make sure that your contract stipulates that you get paid half upfront and then maybe the remainder when you're done. Same thing with audiobooks. If it's a per finished hour rate, I ask for 50% upfront. That way my time is covered. And that also prevents getting into a contract with a scammer, right? Because they don't want to pay for anything. They just want to take your audio files and run. So if someone balks at that, saying, hey, I don't want to pay half upfront, then I don't really want to work with them, because that's kind of a red flag to me, right? But I think I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. So if you guys have any questions about anything that I said or anything you would like to add, because I'm sure I forgot something, then please put it in the chat and we'll get to it. The poll poll results. I'm already getting off track. Okay, we got 31 votes, and it looks like 58% of you said no, that you haven't seen either, and 16% of you said yes, just a contract. 3% of you said yes, just an NDA, which is strange because I've seen more NDAs than I have contracts. And I thought it would be the other way around. And then 22% of you said yes, both. Interesting. Okay, so for those of you that have seen or have used a contract or an NDA, please, if you have anything else to share, of course, if I missed anything, then please put it in the chat and we will go through all of these comments. We have a lot of comments, so let's get started here. I feel like I went through that really fast too. So again, if I missed anything, who's first in? Glowen? Hi, Glowen. Good morning, afternoon, evening, to Voice Over Angela in chat. My coffee is hot and bold today. Hope yours is too. No, it's sort of room temperature now, but that's okay. It's not really bold either. It's more of like a mild. I'm not like a coffee snob or a connoisseur, but I do know what I like. I like Javalia. What kind of coffee do you guys use at home? Javalia with my oat milk creamer. Dylan's here. Hey, Dylan. Good morning, all. On the road, so I'll just be creeping in the shadows today. I haven't had the need to sign a contract yet. Would I need a lawyer to look it over first? I don't think that would be a bad idea. Especially if it doesn't make sense to you. If you have somebody on retainer, or if you have somebody it wouldn't hurt. It definitely wouldn't hurt. Just to be on the right foot to make sure that you understand what you're signing. David Horn is here. Morning, Angela. Morning, David. Good to have you here. Colette is here. Hi, Colette. Good morning, everyone. All voices, no breaks. I've worked with both, but it was the late 80s. I was younger, had more hair, and a face for voiceover. Oh, you know what? I remember something popped into my head that I totally want to touch on, but totally didn't mention. Contract. In the contract, and especially right now, I can't believe I forgot this. Somewhere in there, you want to make sure that you have an agreement, right, that says that your voice will not be used for AI training, machine learning, any of those things without your consent. Right? An AI writer of some sorts. And I think, was it NAVA? NAVA? Their website has a nice AI writer that you can download and incorporate in your contracts as well. So if you're doing a commercial or something, some sort of voiceover work, and I think it would just be good to have anyway. I mean, if you're just like hard pass on all things AI, make sure that verbiage is also in your contract. No AI. Unless you're down with it, and that's your prerogative. But I think most people I know would say no. No, thank you. Colette says, Glowen, I hear you're making strides. I'm doing better, but working at it. That's good. That's good. Keep working at it. It doesn't matter if there's strides or baby steps. Forward is still progress. David Horn says, thanks for accepting me in the Facebook group. Seems like an awesome community of people. It is an awesome community of people. I think for the most part, this industry as a whole is just an awesome community of people. I have found that to be true. Ryder Dude says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ryder Dude. Good morning, Pamela. Howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Tim Gleason's here. Howdy, all. Caesar. Hey, Caesar. I like my coffee like I like my ex, scalding and bitter. Also, hello, Angela. Hello, everyone. I don't like bitter coffee. Chrissy Sell says, good morning. Looking beautiful as always, Angela. Oh, stop it. Thank you, Chrissy. You make me blush. Fiber Jazz is here. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Masonry construction. No, just the simple agreements on Upwork and Fiverr. And that is another thing that I was hoping we would touch on today. I think most of these voiceover platforms, freelance marketplace platforms that you can find work on, part of their terms of service will include all of the verbiage you need to protect you from most things in terms of how payment is collected, the timeline or due date, things like that. There's a lot of things that you could have covered for you in just the agreements on those platforms, right? If there's anything above and beyond that, make sure you have it in writing. Same goes with emails, right? If you're I forgot to mention that too. If you're in a direct conversation with a direct client, meaning that you sourced that client, or maybe they contacted you and they're not from a platform or anything like that, right? They're a direct client to you. All this information in an email, I mean, anything that you can reference, right? Later, if you discuss all of these things as far as when the order is due, how much you're going to be paid, when you're going to be paid, what format that the deliverables is going to be sent in, all of the things that we mentioned before is in an email. That would be, I think, sufficient too in most cases, as long as you can go back to it, reference it. If the client has a question, you can refer back to that email and say, hey, this is the date that we discussed it would be due. This is the amount of money that we agreed upon it being, so on and so forth. But yes, those freelance marketplaces and platforms will have that verbiage already incorporated for you in their terms of service. Um, the only thing that's not there, I think, right now, as far as I know, is the AI protections. So if you want to include something like that in your gig descriptions for Fiverr or Upwork, in um, the order verbiage, or you could even make it a requirement in for Fiverr, is, when you're creating your gig, you have the requirements where you ask for the script, you ask for any pronunciation tips, things like that. You could also make a requirement that by placing this order, you're agreeing that my voice will not be used for any AI training, machine learning, so on and so forth, without my consent. You could do that as well and make your own AI writer of sorts in that respect. Hot Pink Bear. I'm not sure why, but I can't see the poll until I tap on one of the choices on mobile. I'm sorry. I don't know why that happens. I have never actually, and I don't see it on my mobile device either, but I think I'm just watching. I'm not on the YouTube channel. I'm watching it through Facebook. So I'm not sure why that is. But essentially, the poll is, again, for anyone just joining anyway, is have you ever used or seen a voice over contract and or NDA is what the poll is today. I am not a tech whiz by any stretch. I'm not sure why that's happening. Rustic Hillbilly says, have a wonderful day. You too, Rustic Hillbilly. I appreciate you being here. Glowin says, to Colette, yes, I am. My new gear, booth set improvements. Now I'm working on my speech and voice. Not confident in my editing yet. So I am working simultaneously on both. Nice. Good job, Glowin. Oh, yeah, I've had neither contract or NDA. I have a feeling at some point all of you guys will see one. So I even see them on Fiverr and Upwork. I've had clients provide both or either on that side as well, mainly NDAs for video games and things like that. I think I mentioned as an example. Joya's here. Hey, Joya. I'm fluent in legalese for anyone in the Platinum group that needs some translating. Happy to help. Well, there you go. I'm telling you, our Platinum group is like a powerhouse of information support and wizardry. Joya, Caesar is amazing at the microphone stuff. Well, Joya is too. But amazing group of people. Colette Gray says, wow, that's a really nice offer, Joya. Thanks. She is amazing. Glowin says to Joya, have you reviewed that one that Christine, or was it Christy Lynn, posted in the Discord chat? Fiber Jazz says, in addition to NDAs, you might want to discuss exclusivity considerations with an entertainment attorney. Yes, you should. Again, I am not licensed, or I have no platform to stand on as far as legal advice or anything like that, of course. But speaking with a lawyer or an attorney, or probably would be a better bet. But today I'm just sharing what I have learned thus far, what I have seen. But definitely speaking with an attorney or a lawyer is definitely going to behoove you if you have any questions. Facebook user, this is Dave Moxley, says amen. Foxy Lady says, hi, Angela. Good morning. What's the poll question? I hope I have answered that by now. But again, it's basically, have you seen a voice over contract or NDA yet? Have you seen one or used one yet? Joya says to Glowin, I'm not sure which one you're referring to. Can you link me over there? I read a few over there. All Voice No Break says, in the late 1980s, I never had to concern myself with things like sampling and cloning. Yeah. And today it's super easy to do and well, I'm sure you guys all know. So it's more important than ever for us to take precautions. Fiber Jazz said to Foxy Lady, have you ever seen a VO contractor? Oh, you're my poll question. Thank you. Colette says, I love your tangents, Angela. Don't encourage the tangent. Glowen to, I need more coffee. Glowen to Joya says, what is your @ in Discord? Joya says, be careful when looking at sites where they create contracts for you. Some of those contract sites are not legal in all states and countries. That's a good point. That's a very good point. So, moral of the story today is to do your due diligence. When you are signing up for any site, and this should just go for just normal personal life too, when you're signing up for any new site and you have to click that button that says, I've read all the terms and agreements, make sure that you do. Make sure that you read all of that stuff before you agree to it. Don't just willy-nilly click that box because you never know what that stuff says. You never know what you're agreeing, what you're signing away to, what you're agreeing to, right? Just make sure that you read everything before you sign it. That should just be a good policy to have in everyday life. Sophia says, I can't see the selections to vote until I tap on one, so my vote doesn't count. That's interesting. I wonder what's going on with YouTube. Joya says to Glowen, A2VO Chris. I think we've talked once or twice on Discord. Colette says, I just found Green Mountain Country, Vermont, which is very much like Javalia. I'm going to have to check that out. Glowen says, it's in the ACX thread. Joya says, if I put info on contract law NDAs in the chat, we will be here forever. I have a master's degree in paralegal studies. There you go. There you go. Is there... What you could do is you could share what information you do have, and for anyone who is interested in going to look on their own time, then they could. That way we're not here for hours. Masonry says Dunkin' Donuts coffee from Costco, fresh brewed at home. I don't think I've ever brewed Dunkin' Donuts coffee at home, but I've seen it there at Costco, and I've always wondered. But I'm kind of partial to Javalia. Tim says the people at Edge Studio have had a presentation from the NAVA folks concerning AI and synthetic voices. Good show. I want to say that NAVA actually on their website, they have not only the writers and information there. I want to say there were a couple of videos. So, I mean, take a look around. There's a lot of information about a lot of things on the interwebs. You just have to, pull up our friend Google and ask him. I'll show you some stuff. Glowen says to Tim, can you link the site in Discord for us? I'd love to read or watch it. Doug Mack says, good morning from Doug. I'm learning a lot. Good. That's the purpose of us meeting together so we can talk this stuff out. Joy says, hey, Joy. Joy. Good morning, Angela, from cold and windy Southfield, Michigan. I had to sign both regular and NDA contracts with clients. I'm going for a hot cup of coffee right now. That sounds delicious. It sounds delicious. So what was your experience with the contracts and NDAs? I'm hoping that you read all the way through them. Did you find anything? Well, obviously, if you signed them, you probably didn't find anything weird in them or confusing. Caesar says, I like dark mountain grown Arabica sourced locally. Lately, I enjoy sprinkling Twinings wild berry tea over the grounds coffee before brewing. Coffee grounds. Why did I just flip that around? Then I mix in a little Black Forest honey and oh God, that sounds amazing. You always have the most amazing stuff, Caesar. Tiff Stellar Reed says, honestly, Angela, how did you build your VO biz outside of your 9 to 5? I'm struggling to find the time because I'm exhausted. It feels impossible, honestly. I get that question a lot, and it was hard. It was hard. I was exhausted. I had the mom guilt. I had the guilt, the partner guilt, right? Just not being available as I once was for my family. But it also could be that I was also at that time working for in a very demanding position where I was pretty much on call all the time, worked weekends sometimes. It was a long day. So maybe just putting in a little bit of extra work at the end of the day wasn't really, I don't know, that much different than what I was already doing. But what I tell people that ask me this question is, if you have an agenda book, like I'm always talking about my weekly, monthly agenda book that I have one on my website. If you go to VO Gear, I have an example of one, the very one that I use. Actually, I think I need to update it for 2024. But anyway, if you can write down what you're doing, or if you journal every day and you're writing down what you're doing, right? Take a look at that and see what time you do have available. And it doesn't have to be, a big chunk of hours to be available. If you have, like, on Monday, you might have a half an hour. On Tuesday, you might have an hour. On Wednesday, you might just have 10 minutes or maybe no time available at all. On Thursday, you might be a little bit more flexible and you might have an hour here, maybe after the kids go to bed, right? Get an idea of what you do have available to you. And if you have weekends that you have maybe a little extra time, maybe you have a couple of hours to dedicate to this. If you can just spend that time building, piecing together, writing out a bio, right? It doesn't have to be big strides. It doesn't have to be big chunks of work done every day. It could be a baby step. It could be as simple as writing down a 500-word bio about yourself. And then that way you have the bio done. So on any website that you go to, that you sign up on to find work, you can just copy and paste that in. That will save you a ton of time. That's still a step forward. Or having a profile picture, with your phone. I mean, you could have a professional headshot done later on, but in the beginning, I mean, geez, mine is from my phone. Take that picture and clean it up, and then you have that. I mean, my point is that you'll start to see as you go along that maybe I can, on Tuesday when I had that 30 minutes available, maybe I can stretch it to 40, right? And then just build it slowly. Whatever time it takes to build is the time that it takes to build, right? If you don't have a whole lot of extra time available to you, take the time that you do have available and use that to move forward, baby steps even. Your why has to be strong enough to get you through that, right? So if it takes you a month to get everything together, great. If it takes you a year, it took me like probably a good year to get everything in place. It was slow, but if you have to be consistent and you have to be in it, right? You have to be gung ho about it. And the mom guilt was hard, but my family knew what I was trying to do and supported me through it, thankfully. And now I can pay that back with, being available with them more than I was before. So it was a temporary thing. Push hard in the time that you have while you're still working. And then knowing that after you're done, once you're full time at this, or you're a full time entrepreneur, then you have more time available for them. It is hard though. It is hard. Hang on, I thought I saw a super chat while I was tangenting. Tangenting? I did. Sean Lester, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Off topic, sometimes I stay up late working on VO, but then wake up too early, leaving me too sleepy to record. Have you experienced this? Yes. And it doesn't get any easier the older we get, right? You need sleep. You need sleep. I mean, we do. You can't, especially the older you get, you need more sleep. You just do. So it's tough. So if you're someone that can charge through the day with, a cup of strong coffee, then that's what it might need to be. Or you just might need to go back to bed for another hour. But I guess it depends on the reasoning for waking up too early. Is it because your body wouldn't let you sleep anymore? Or is it because you had to get up for a purpose? That you had to get up, take the kiddos to school, or you had to get up and get some work done? I guess it depends on how early it is. But yes, I absolutely have experienced that. But all of that is temporary. Is it, a temporary thing? But that, again, comes with being a business owner that has global clientele, right? Sometimes being available to people that are way outside of your time zone is something to be expected. But it's not like an everyday thing, right? So I guess I just take the good with the bad and just push forward. But the older I get, the harder it is to just push forward. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, Sean. Masonry Construction says, it is surprising the amount of AI work offered, sometimes disguised. Yes. Yes, it is. They're getting, I think most of these companies that I've seen invitations to, we were just talking about this in Facebook, our Facebook group, about Upwork invitations for, it looked like machine learning. But just trust your gut. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it more than likely is a duck. If it makes you uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form, then don't do it. Right? If it just doesn't make sense, don't do it. Dwight says, hi, Angela. Hope your holiday shopping is done for the year. I got a couple left. I'm almost done. FYI, you don't have to wrap mine. You don't have to wrap mine. Oh, thanks, Dwight. Saving me some wrapping time. JCC AOL says, Angela, how's the weather today? It's a little brisk today, but sunny. It is currently 56 degrees where I'm at in the desert of Arizona. It was a little chilly yesterday, but I think it's supposed to be in the 70s all week, which is why people move here for the 2 months out of the year where it's nice. Sean says, I was asked to sign an NDA for an audition. Interesting. I think I have two, once or twice. And these are typically for video games. And I get that because they don't want anyone else stealing their ideas, right? I've also had an author ask me to sign an NDA before I even started the work on her. But it was an author that I had recorded an audiobook for before. So I don't know. But I think that just kind of comes with the territory, right? If you're an audiobook narrator and you want to support the author, you're going to want to talk about the book. Unless she's concerned about me sharing the manuscript with other people, which I would never, ever do. But I guess, a little bit of protection because she doesn't know who I am. I mean, she's worked with me before, but she doesn't know if I'm going to do that stuff. And so I get that, even though I never would. But she doesn't know that. Yeah. Foxy Lady says, sorry, I could not see the question when I first joined in. It's okay. It's apparently there's some sort of issues with poll question. I apologize for that. Crimsy First Lady says, thanks for accepting me. Good morning, everyone. Yes, good morning. What are the platform names? As far as Voice123, Voices.com, Badalago, Voice Giant, Voice Jungle, Voquent. There's literally over 100 of them. Google can help you find a handful more. And I swear I had a list of them somewhere. But for the freelance marketplaces, there's freelancer.com, there's Guru, there's Backstage, there's Fiverr and Upwork. There was one other one that was just right here, People Per Hour even. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them out there. But whatever one you decide to work with, be sure that you're reading the terms of service. You're reading all the agreements before you agree to them. And understand how they work in terms of how you get paid, how long it takes to get paid. Do they send you a check? Do they do PayPal? Make sure you have a firm grasp on all of those as well. JCC AOL says, can anyone suggest a good Christmas audiobook? I am currently listening to Young Scrooge. Oh, a very scary Christmas story by R.L. Stine. Young Scrooge by R.L. Stine? That sounds I haven't seen that one. That sounds very interesting. Christmas audiobook. I listen to horror all year. Don't ask me. JCC AOL says, I enjoy Bears Brothers. Is it Bears or Bears Brothers coffee? Southern Pecan is good. With Planet Oat is a good non-dairy creamer. Yeah, that's what I use. Planet Oat. It's either caramel or what's the other flavor? Like brown sugar or something. It's pretty good. I like it. Joya says, my recommendation is contacting an attorney or legal representative in your area to review what you have and make changes. Most of the time, you will pay a $100 to $300 for a universally enforceable contract. I like it. There you go. Great tip, Joya. Thank you for that. Tycon Dalar says, I have the trifecta working against me. Full-time job, buried in debt, no family support, but I will not be deterred. I will make this work or die trying. Good for you. Good for you. You'll go far with that kind of attitude. And that's the attitude you have to have. Is I want this come hell or high water. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to prove everybody else wrong. Good for you, man. David Horn says, love my Arizona. I'm in the southern part of the state where we stay a bit cooler here year round. I don't want to hear about it, David. You mean so when I get 120 here in the middle, you get 110? Bear338 says, good morning, Angela. Watching from home today. I got sick. Oh, no. On a bright note, more studio pieces are starting to arrive. Super excited. Every gear day is a good day when it's gear day. That's definitely a good day. Gear day. New gear day. Joy says, due to the fact that I'm a nervous Nelly about new jobs, I also read through contracts. And if there's some legal terms I don't know, I just Google them to get the definitions. It also would be probably a good idea, and I'm sure Joya would agree with me, to have somebody on retainer that you can ask questions and get clarifications on things. Right? It probably would be not a bad idea. So you can shoot them documents and go, hey, what does this look like to you? Status TV Uganda says, hi, I'm from Uganda. I am a voiceover artist and radio producer. I'm loving this. Well, good. Welcome. Glad to have you from Uganda. That's awesome. David Horn says, it's rare for us to break 100 here in the summer. Oh, really? So where is this oasis in Arizona? I'm dying to know. Okay, so for those of you that are asking about the poll, oh, hang on, I got to turn off the comment. So once again, for some reason, the poll's being weird today, but the poll again was, have you ever used or seen a voiceover contract and or an NDA before? And again, I am not in any way I cannot give you legal advice in any stretch, but I'm just sharing so far what I have learned in my own adventures into this, my own foray into voiceover. So I'm not here to give advice, just sharing information. Have to say that. And with that poll, looks like 45 votes. We just got a couple more. And it looks like 60% of you said no. And 16% of you said yes, just a contract. 2% of you said yes, just an NDA. And I really thought it would be the other way around because I've seen more NDAs than contracts at this point. And then 22% of you said yes, both. So I guess I would fall into that category too, right? Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm hoping for those of you that said no, I'm hoping that something in this conversation today, either in what I said or what somebody else said, has given you some inspiration on where to go, what to look for, what to read before you sign it. Right? I hope it's helped in some way, shape, or form. David said Sierra Vista. Yeah, I've heard of Sierra. I've never been there. Masonry Construction says Southern AZ is closer to the equator. David Horn says down by Bisbee and Tombstone. I want to come. I know there's a lot of haunted cities in Arizona. I think Bisbee has got a haunted hotel, does it not? So does Tombstone. They're on my bucket list, is to stay at those hotels. Mhm. Joy says, I do have a lawyer that I can shoot a question or two just in case. Oh, that's good. That's good. I think a business owner of any kind should have access to, for questions or legal information. Because we all can't be Joya, although she's probably invested quite a bit of time and money into that master's degree. David said, yes, they both do. That is cool. Yeah, they're on my bucket list. I definitely, and I'm so close. It took me like 10 years of living in Arizona before, no, 15. How long have I been here? I've been in Arizona for 23 years, and I didn't see the Grand Canyon until just a couple of years ago. Sad, I know. But going to those haunted hotels in Tombstone and Bisbee are definitely on my next places to go, my list. Catherine Cruz says, when I was drinking coffee, I liked dark roast, but with condensed milk. Oh, foaming it is awesome. Now I drink ginseng or gunpowder green tea. Gunpowder green tea? What is gunpowder green tea? What is gunpowder green tea? You must tell me. You must tell me. Glowen says, sorry, was AFK, but I am encouraging a colleague in a different province to get into this. He has a voice very similar to Dylan Holt. I sent him the link to last week's podcast. Oh, well, that's nice of you. Sharing the love. Nick. Okay, so I'm new to the narrating world and struggling with getting my RMS levels to meet ACX standards. I use Studio One. Any recommendations? I've watched your video on that, but still struggling. I totally feel your pain. And I think my move to Adobe Audition was for this very reason, I should say. Because most of the people that I was watching on YouTube to learn things, specifically about the technical side of audiobook production, they were using Adobe Audition. So I knew that anything that I needed help with, I could go to one of their videos and I could take what they were saying and directly apply it to my own situation. So I've never used Studio One, so I couldn't tell you specifically what to do. But RMS is basically is the average dialogue volume, is the average volume of your dialogue. So I find that compression is an element that can definitely help with getting all of the volumes a little bit closer to uniform, a little bit more consistency in volume. Or it could be that your input gain is just entirely too high or entirely too low. That's typically what the common denominators are when I talk to other people using Audacity or Adobe Audition when they can't meet the RMS levels, is that there's just the volumes of their dialogue is just all over the place and it needs to be more consistent. And that is your RMS. Or that their input gain is way too low or it's way too high. And that throws off the volume dialogue. I think I just had an aneurysm. Throws off the uniformity of the volume of the dialogue. Does that make sense? Okay, I think my brain is toast. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. I hope that helps, but I couldn't tell you exactly what to do with Studio One, but that's generally what I find to be the issue if there's an RMS issue, that you can't get to it. Glowen says, the Grand Canyon, the world's biggest ditch. It is absolutely breathtaking. I would call it much more than a ditch, to be honest. Catherine says, I am still working on demos and setting things up. Good. Good. And take a lot more time with setting things up, namely your recording space. Take more time on that than working on demos, because having your recording space not be echoey or boxy sounding is going to do so much more for you, right? When you're doing your demos, you don't want to hear any of that in your demos. So spend more time on setting up your space. That would be advantageous. Caesar says, incidentally, have you read my story time at VO Gear on Discord? Short version is the guy in charge of getting my mic ran away with my money and went on a holiday. It was a nightmare. No, I haven't been on Discord a whole lot. Social media and I are, I try my best. You guys have to remember that I have lots of different platforms, and I do have people that ask me questions, and so trying to get to everywhere every day is hard. And I also have mentees and people that I work with, and sometimes tech support. I wear all the hats. So I'm pretty much on my phone or on my computer all day long, and I can't get to every place all day long every day. So I do miss some things, and I apologize for that. But to answer your question, no, I haven't been on Discord. I think I was there yesterday or the day before, but I don't look at it multiple times a day, unfortunately. I know I need to get better at that. And I'm sorry that happened to you. That just stinks. I'm going to have to go and read it and see what happened. Tiff Stella Reed says, I get discouraged because it takes so long to build a business and I hate my 9 to 5. So I'm so conflicted about what I need to do. My mood is so bad right now because I hate my job. I was right there with you in that same place. I used that drive to get away, to propel me forward in this. Because although it paid well, it was very toxic. And it kept me, and it took my time away from my family. I didn't want to be the absentee mom. I wanted to be there and available for my kid. So I used that to drive me forward into a new endeavor. So I would suggest doing the same. Use it as fuel and then show them what you can do. Caesar says gunpowder tea is tea leaves rolled into pellets. Interesting. Their appearance is similar to buckshot, hence gunpowder. Interesting. I've never seen that before. Tea time with Voice Over Angela. I've never seen that before. That is so cool. So does it take longer or shorter to steep? Or does it, do you use one of those little, one of those little tea balls? I would think. What is the benefit of having it in those shapes? Glowen says to Tiff Stella Reads, don't get discouraged. It's a struggle for me too. I typically put in 60 plus hours at work and my days off are spent pushing through all the things I put off every day. Yeah, I feel all these comments. I do. I was there. T. Nick says, I think I'll switch because all I'm seeing as well online is with Adobe. My RMS always says it's low. I'm already under contract for 2 different books. That's good. So I've been really frustrated about getting that fixed. Okay, so when you say low, do you mean like in negative numbers or that it's which way? Because you're going to remember that the volume, typically what we're looking at is a negative number. So when you say like it's a low, like it's a small number, which means it's really high, or that it's, which way are we talking? Maybe I'm opening up the door for a whole new tangent. Wait, I could be. I mean, we're talking about me here. But I can tell you that switching to Adobe for me was like night and day. From going from Audacity to Adobe Audition was like a whole new world had opened up. Granted, that was Audition 4 or 5 years ago, and a lot has changed with Audition since. They've added a whole slew of new features. But that's why, one of the main reasons why I went with Adobe Audition, just so I could not have to go through translating or trying to figure out, okay, if they're doing this, how do I do that? And, in 2 different platforms, it just made it a whole lot easier. Catherine says, apparently gunpowder green tea has a higher caffeine content. Sign me up. Sold. Adds to cart. And healthier than regular green tea. It's rolled tighter and resembles little bullets, preserving the nutrients. Ew, interesting. I'm going right to Amazon. Joy says, are there any platforms or groups I can join where I can get an Adobe Audition subscription, excuse me, at a discount? Not to my knowledge. I am an Adobe affiliate, and I do not see any discounts, really big discounts. I'm trying to think. I might have to go and look, but the most I think I have seen, it's like right here. It's like going, there was one. I want to say one time I did, but it's for a short period of time. It's not like forever. It's like, because Adobe Audition is a subscription. It's a monthly subscription or an annual subscription, depending on which way you go. And I think they give you like a discount for just the first time you sign up, like the first year or the first month or whatever it is. It's, really not that big of a discount. But I'll have to look. I'll have to look. T Nick says yes, negative numbers. It will typically say low by 0.0. So I'm trying to think. Okay, so if it's low by 5 dB, that is quite a bit. So if we're talking it's low, so that means that we need to raise the input gain, perhaps? I would try it either way because I'm still not quite sure. My brain doesn't math. So I would try it either way. I would try recording, just do like a test recording. Try recording with your input gain, like the gain on your interface or your microphone turned up a little bit by roughly 5 dB, and just see what that does. Go through all the process on it and then check it and see where it's at and see if that's closer to where you need to be. And if that's the case, you can take all of your existing files and just increase the volume of all of them and then go through the processing and then check it to see if that's where you need to be. It could be a relatively simple fix, but without seeing it, I don't really know. But that's what it sounds like. That's what it could be. JCCAOL says, I think you should visit New Orleans. I want to go to, that's definitely on my bucket list. I would love to go to the French Quarter. I know, for all the haunted stuff. Savannah, Georgia, or Baltimore when it comes to haunted places. When you visit Baltimore, stop by Westminster Cemetery to pay respects to a certain writer. Yes, I've also wanted to go to the Winchester House in, what is it, it's not San Jose, is it Santa Clarita? San Jose? My partner went and got a picture of a ghost. It was pretty cool. Anyway, try not to get off topic. We talk about ghosts and stuff all day. David said to Joy West, if you have a friend who is an educator, they can usually get discounts through Adobe. That is usually the only discount that I see is for educators and or students, but not for everyday Joes like us. Oh, come on, Angela. Audacity has changed a lot. It has. It has changed a lot. It's a far cry from what it was, God, like 4 or 5 years ago now that I've used it. So yeah, I'll give them that. But I've spent the last 5 or so years on, almost 6 years on Adobe. So I'm fairly partial to Adobe Audition now because I know how to use everything that I need to use it for. Joy says to David Horn, not sure about that, but I can check. Thanks. Hot Pink Bear says, Winchester House is in San Jose. Took my kids there. They loved it. I've always wanted to go through there. And I have a mug. He brought me back a mug that was in the shape of the house. So cool. So cool. T-Nick says, I'll try adjusting the input gain. That's always what comes back. All my other stuff is at where it needs to be. And just remember that once you make one change, other things might change in the process. So you might have to tweak your process a little bit to accommodate more volume also. So that's what I would do if I was in your position. I would just do a test recording, see if that works, like turning it up a little bit, go through all the motions, right? Go through all the effects, go through the normalization, and then test it and see if that's the case. And if that doesn't work, then start over. Start it with the input gain lower and then go through all, you know what I mean? So try a little bit of test things before you apply it to your but your recordings, your audiobook recordings, if you have any done, because you don't want to screw those up. So just do a test recording first. But thanks for your help and videos. They've been very helpful in this adventure. Well, good. I hope so. That's what I record them for, is just entertainment at the least. Laugh at me. David says to Joy West, you're welcome. Daniel says typically input should be -20, -18 dB. If it's lower, -24 to -30, then you have to look for a booster like a fathead or cloud lifter. If you don't have the ability to increase your input gain, and it also depends on like your interface, because I know some of them have like oh god, again, I was just there and then it ran away. Like some don't have the ability to increase the input gain. So it really depends on what you have. But to Daniel's credit, yes, there are cloud lifters and fatheads that will also give an extra boost in gain if need be. I haven't had to use them, so I try to think in ways without them. Again, from my own experience, but there are other things available, like the fatheads of cloud lifters. Catherine says, I've heard that you can ruin your vocal cords. Of course, you can ruin anything if you wear it out too much. Most of the reason I haven't settled on my demos is because it's very raspy. I also have a little bit of like what is it called? Raspiness, but there's a word for it. I can't think of what it is now. But I have found that it doesn't really affect me. It could be a unique feature to your voice that sets you apart from everyone else. So don't ever be hard on yourself or discount yourself or just cut yourself out of the equation altogether because there's an element or an aspect to your voice that you find strange or that you deem as unworthy or inappropriate or unwanted. Don't ever do that. It is an aspect of you that makes you different from everyone else. So embrace it. Try it out anyway. Do it. Go get it. Mason Reconstruction says, just go to the Haunted Mansion. I love the Haunted Mansion. Disney has a few ghosts there for you to photograph. Daniel says, is there a golden rule to find the correct reading speed? There is no correct reading speed. Don't focus so much on the speed. Focus on the story. Focus on the story. Focus on the intention of your read. If it's not an audiobook, if it's something else, is it something else that's meant to grab your attention or to, evoke emotion, right? Because that's going to be a different speed than perhaps a narration that is more of a normal conversational space or pace. So depending on what you're doing, there might be a different tone or speed needed. So there isn't like a perfect reading speed. It's going to depend on what you're doing. If we're talking about audiobooks, you definitely want to change it up, right? You don't want to keep it uniform across the board because that just gets boring. You want to talk fast in one place where there's a little bit of drama going on, or maybe there's a fight or something. And then you want to slow it down when there's a more like emotional or sentimental, right? You want to change it up depending on what's going on. Focus on the story that you're telling, more so than the reading speed. If that makes sense. T-Nick says, I wish I knew someone who was in the editing industry so I could pick their brain. Well, I think most of us voice actors that do our own editing are in the editing industry. Pick away. Caesar says, Winchester House in San Jose on my bucket list. But I don't want to run into my old business partner. Also, Anne Rice's former house in New Orleans, I'd like to see. Same. Vocal Fry, Tim Gleason. Thank you, Vocal Fry. That's what I was looking for. Yes. But back to Caesar's, yes. Maybe we should have a trip. Maybe we should all meet there at one point. One or the other, or both. We could do the Platinum Group's Haunted Mansion or Hauntings. The Hauntings. We'll come up with a good name for it. We should totally do it. David Horn says, usually if you're using a condenser microphone, you don't need any secondary amplification like you would if it was a dynamic mic. Yeah, it's going to depend on your setup and what is needed, what you can already do with what you have. And if you do need more, then there are pieces of hardware like the cloud lifters and fatheads that can help. Glowen says, almost forgot to ask. Does anyone know of some practice scripts for meditation? I have a friend that has a spa in Bali that has asked me if I would do some work for him. Google it. Google meditation scripts. If you're just looking for some guidance on, because you can write them yourself. I mean, meditations are pretty much all the same. There's usually a welcome, get into a comfortable position. There's breathing exercises. There's usually some sort of a body scan involved and, being mindful of every part of your body. And then there's some sort of a visualization, whatever focus that your meditation is about. Also, what I have done in the past, because I do a lot of meditation stuff, is there is a couple of sellers on Fiverr that have a bunch of non-exclusive scripts already written that you can use for things like this, as long as your client knows that these scripts are non-exclusive to them, meaning that there are a lot of other people probably using the same meditation script. Granted, narrated probably by a different person each time, but it's the same words. So they can't copyright it, they can't claim to own it. As long as they're okay with that, then do that. But if they want something custom written just for them, I would recommend maybe going to either writing it yourself, or you could go to Fiverr or a place like that, Upwork, and find somebody who, like a ghostwriter or a content creator that can write this kind of topic, meditation, and have them custom write a script for you. You could do that too. God, we covered a lot today. We covered so much today. Again, I hope something said today helps or inspires, or I hope it's just helpful in general. Something that was said today. But again, read everything that you're signing your name to before you sign it. I think that is the moral of the story. And if you're watching us in the replay, or even right now, once I end the stream, if you have an idea or a topic or something that you want to discuss as a group, please put it in the comments, because the topic today came from several questions and comments that I have received over the last week or two, wanting to talk about contracts and NDAs. So leave your comments down below, and maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. But I will be back next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. I'll be back then. And I'll see you all then. So until then, have a great week, everybody. And finding my outro. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. If you have an extra moment, please feel free to leave a review. We'll see you next time.